Okay, again, just trying to be mindful of your time. Thanks for coming, I appreciate it a lot. A lot of this information that I'm going to share, I'm going to do some introductions. I'm going to talk quick. This is probably, like I was saying before to some of the people here, that this is maybe my 30th time giving the same presentation. We've been in all the classrooms already, doing these things, talking about these things, making sure we have conversation with our students. So I'm going to whip through things. I'm going to leave time towards the end, just in the lobby. We'll all be in the lobby. We have 4 counselors here this evening with us. I'm one of them. My name is Mr. Elson. We have Mrs. Sheila Anderson as well, Ms. Teresa Steffens, and Ms. Tana Sanderson. So I'll make sure towards the end I'll put up all of our contact information for career pathways, department heads, and counselors and admin, just so you have faces to go along with names. So just know that that's part of it. Also, we do have several of our career pathway teachers out in the lobby as well, just looking to share information with you, as well as I think Mr. Forboard's here representing our administration team. So just wanted to give those introductions first, and also lay out that afterwards, happy to answer any questions you have. That's why we're here. So looking for more information just to pass along to you guys so you can make the best decisions for you and your students. So again, I'm going to go through a lot of the things that we hammer with our kids, and really talk about in the registration process what that looks like, not only in the current year, but also planning for future years, and then certainly beyond high school. That's a big push for us, is how do we prepare our kids for their next, whatever that's going to be, whether that's school, training, military, all different varieties. Every kid is different, every situation is different. So the whole course request process is going to be different and specific to each kid, so that's why it's so helpful just to have information out there on what that looks like, and how we can get that information out to you all. So I do want to be mindful of that, try and be condensed and concise and talk about those things, so at least you know when you have questions who you can talk with and who you can go to for those situations. I'm going to adjust, the screen looks a little wonky here, I'm going to do that quick. We're going to go with that. I think it's one of those sound things, and it was picking up sound on the floor. So and we're going to go with this. And I think certainly as we go, I'm going to highlight as many things as I possibly can. With our registration process at the high school, we're really trying to be intentional with how we can get information to kids. So over the last 2 years, we really revamped how we've done registration. I think oftentimes there's a connection, as there should be, but a connection directly between registration and student schedule. And that's not necessarily the case. There's lots of pieces that go into building a master schedule, creating a schedule that's going to accommodate for many of those requests. In a lot of situations, the requests that students put in for elective classes, for core courses, fuels the master schedule as we go forward. So making that connection for students when they see their schedule in August and being confused, oh, I put this on first semester and I didn't get it first semester, I got it second semester. Just making the connection between what a request actually means and how that then becomes a schedule. So a lot of what we were trying to do was increase the intention of course selection and course requests for our students. Give them as much information as possible, give families as much information as possible, so you guys can make decisions not only, like I said, for this current year, but for future years as well. Also, in terms of where we want to place our students, we want to be a little bit more intentional with how students are placed correctly in classes. Whether that's advanced classes, elective classes, career pathway classes, all kids have different skill, and making sure we connect kid with the skill that they have and also the benefit they want to get out of their classes. That's been a huge part of this process. And then the third thing, certainly part of this evening and the recording, is making sure that everybody has the access to the information. I think a lot of times things are passed on word of mouth because there's not a direct connection to the information and how we can access that information. So at least putting things out there a little bit more accessibly. The course guide that we're going to talk about, you can whip right up with me on your phone. It could be accessible from any electronic device, and it's going to give you the most accurate information in terms of which courses we offer, for which grade, which credit it covers, and certainly planning beyond. So I think these are all parts of pieces that we've talked about, and they're really behind the intention of what we're talking about with our students. The other thing that we've covered with our students, and we continue to cover with our students, this is a career pathway model. So a lot of the models that we talk about, a lot of the processes that we talk about is really three-step process. This can still be applied, we talk about this all the time, to decisions, to course selections, to things beyond just career pathways. But really what we're doing in 9th grade is we're really building that explore for kids and really getting kids to at least buy into the courses that they can take that can build interest. In freshman seminar, what we do with our 9th grade students is we do a lot of interest inventories, and we try and pair them with careers that can match their interests and build that. So once we get to 10th grade, 11th grade, we have more intention behind the courses we select based on those interests and how those things are working themselves out. So as we move up in the grades, a big part of moving those steps is how we can gain skill and understanding, moving from explore to experience. How can we try classes? So by the time that we become seniors and we're ready to move on to our next, we have skill. And we can be good at the things that we have maybe interest in or benefit in based on those previous course selections. So a lot of those things are really fueling conversations that we have with students and how we can get them, again, because every student has their own benefit, how we can get them closer to the benefits that they buy onto and the things they're trying to get out of their course selections in the early grades and certainly the later grades as well as they go beyond high school. So a lot of the things that we talk about, like when we talk specifically about registration, graduation is still number one. The purpose of course selection, the purpose of going to high school is working towards that diploma, making sure that we know which credits kids need and how they can access those credits and make sure that they have those rollovers in terms of credits that they take beyond the required. Our conversations that we have constantly with students to make sure that they are aware of those credit limits. So in terms of English, 4 years, social is 3.5, 3 for math, 3 for science. A lot of times when we're in classrooms just today with both junior and seniors, or going to be next year junior and seniors, and really pushing that there's schools beyond the requirement of graduation that are looking for specific skills, specific opportunities, including math and science. So whether that's going into the trades, whether that's going to specific 4 years, just because it's a graduation requirement of 3 credits, doesn't mean that that is the benchmark that all kids should aspire for. Certainly beyond taking pre-calc, taking advanced science or upper level science, those are part of the instructions as we move forward into those specific trades specifically, and if we're looking at 4-year opportunities, staying fresh with those skills as well as going to peer into the success they can have at those next steps as well. So pointing those out for kids, that just because it's a graduation requirement doesn't mean you should stop once you've hit those graduation requirements. Those certainly fill over to electives. So having conversations about those specific courses as well as the additional electives that are required, the health, money matters, phy-ed, art, anything that we're going to take beyond the requirement then certainly rolls over to electives as well. And then we have plenty of wonderful classes. We have a lot of great opportunities at Grand Rapids High School within our electives, not just in our cores. So a lot of those things that we're going to illustrate in the career pathway conversation. Plenty of great opportunities for kids to, number one, be trained and skilled once they leave high school. A lot of kids in some of those very select programs and looking at some of those courses that they can take at the upper levels are offered jobs because of that. So if they're going straight into work, there's lots of opportunities that are worthwhile, both short-term and long-term. So again, the benefit of taking credit, 23 is the benchmark. Many of our students are finishing with 24, 25, 26, sometimes up to 30 credit. There's different benefit at every tier of credit. Certainly taking more classes give kids more insight into what their interests could be, and encouraging those students to kind of explore those things and take an opportunity when that education is free in high school can give them more, maybe more focus once they leave high school and have a little bit more of a direct path to what they want to be doing. So certainly taking advantage of those classes as well. There are kids that come in conversations that we have with students, I want to get my credit as fast as possible, so senior year I don't have to, And certainly maximizing the credits that we can take, but more importantly, taking classes that are going to benefit that student is the conversation that we have and that we try and focus with those kids to make sure, again, that they're getting the benefit and using the time that they have in high school so they have more decisions and opportunities once they leave high school. A big thing that we do really talk about and really try to emphasize with kids is there is also, in taking lots of credit, there is a benefit in having that balance. So certainly in looking at students who are taking advanced classes or taking a lot of courses that require maybe time, maybe effort, maybe energy, there is a balance to that, and certainly taking a lot of credit isn't in the benefit of everybody's situation. So having study halls, planning out our electives, looking at all of our courses as opposed to just should I take this course or this advanced course, should I take that class or that credit this time, but looking at the collective credits that you're requesting really speaks to the balance of looking at specifically junior year, which might be a different demand for many students. So again, having balance is important and something that we emphasize often. As we continue past a lot of the COVID stuff, colleges, NCAA, institutions, employers are really looking differently at college or high school transcripts, I should say. How we've done things in the past is students have a GPA, a grade point average. They also have the opportunity to take a placement test, whether that's an AccuPlacer for a community college, trade school, the ACT, SAT, some kind of college placement exam. Still with colleges and scholarships being test optional, making sure that we have understanding of our GPA and the everyday requirements and tasks that are going to accumulate up to a grade point average that is something that students want to shoot for, whether that's B's or A's or whatever that is vitally important. And I think right now, more than that has been, I think we're still in that waiting period to see if programs, colleges, scholarships are going to go back to those test scores or not, but right now many are still test optional, which does put a lot of weight on how well you do in classes. So again, speaking back to challenge, having challenge on your transcript is incredibly important. Employers call us often. Certainly scholarships are looking at that. When we look at future schooling, that is going to be a huge impact on admissions or scholarships at that level, but also having that balance. So it is a fine line between what is enough challenge, what is too much challenge, and how can you get the benefit out of your GPA in the courses. So again, there's lots of benefit in course selection rather than I like this class, I like that class. Keeping in mind what that could benefit you down the road is a conversation that we try to have with as many students in front of them, and certainly one-on-one, just so we can make sure that we talk about those things further. I think other places to start, and this is maybe more helpful to families who aren't aware of the things that we're doing in the classroom with kids. Zello is a huge platform that we use that's career-connected learning. So looking at maybe interest inventories, skill assessments, things that can connect kids to future opportunities, such as careers, maybe even things that they've never heard of, and oftentimes many of them are things that they've never heard of. Zello is a huge process for us to do that. There is a family component that's out there that's available. Students also have a direct link app on their iPad, so they can show you that at any point if that's something that you wanted to look at. I'm going to show you an example in just a second of one of the things that we look at as well. And then certainly introduction to the career pathways. And if you're in the upper grades, more understanding of the career pathways and how they can benefit each of you as students and as families. So as we look at Zello in 9th grade, what we do is a lot of interest inventory. When students are done with the first semester, we've done up to 5 assessments with them, sometimes more, in terms of interest inventory, skill assessments, study skills, things that can compile up to interest that might add up to career matches. Again, this does not say that students are skilled and would be a good fit, but maybe their interests align with some of these careers. So a good opportunity for students to look into Zello is taking a look at what those assessments were and clicking on We Have About Me is a good place to start. That will list up all of the things that students have already matched with in regards to careers, and then taking a look at each of those careers. So for example, just on this one, engineering tech was one of the ones that this student had liked. The little heart at the bottom is one that is liked by the student. These are all current matches. The benefit of looking, and this will be very hard for you, so you just have to take my word for it. But the benefit of looking at this, it walks through all of the education that's required. It requires, or it looks at a job description, how much money you're going to be making, what the availability is maybe in our area, but more importantly, what it does for students in high school is down in this bottom box right here. It gives what that student, what we call, or what Zello calls, a career cluster, and that is very similar to our career pathways. So in terms of what classes could benefit students at Grand Rapids High School is looking through some of these careers, making connection to the career clusters that they've already identified as careers and what career clusters fit within that career, and then looking at what career offerings, what course offerings, what pathways we have within Grand Rapids High School to benefit those students. So for example, engineering tech, the career cluster that it says, and I just know this off the top of my head, is manufacturing, construction, and science and math. So when we talk about STEM, science and math is a big part of that. So if a student is interested in this specific career, pointing students towards construction, manufacturing, both of those are separate career pathways, as well as the upper level math and science is a direction that seems like this student might want to go in. So this is a good, maybe a good practice to pull up with your student, see what this information looks like, just so you have a good grasp of what you can do within Zillow and how you can access that information to fuel some of the registration, maybe choices that you're going to be making in the next couple of years. In regards to our specific career pathways, we do have 8 career pathways at Grand Rapids High School. I'm going to identify some of those. I'll pull some of those up for example. These are the specific ones that we have within our region and specifically within our high school. We have healthcare, business, construction, computer science, education, manufacturing, and natural resources. This year we did add automotive, which we've always had those courses within our high school. This is just a new program to point it more in a focus of what courses you should take to move on with the skill to be successful beyond high school. So a lot of times students ask, what benefit do I have in taking these courses? Not only might there be interest for that student in those courses, but what we're trying to do is prepare kids when they leave Grand Rapids High School to have skill in something they have interest in. So moving beyond high school and being able to jump into a 4-year, 2-year, or even a trade that they already have some previous training in, but also, more importantly, planning things out in high school and taking things and maybe deciding what they don't like. And I think that's just as good information as deciding as what they do. So having an opportunity for kids to take classes within these pathways is certainly beneficial, and the recognition that students will get on awards night, graduation, they'll wear a pin, but most importantly, they have the preparedness when they leave Grand Rapids High School to do the things that they want. Oftentimes talking to students, they'll mention as seniors possibly that they're looking at business or healthcare, and then when they bring up that they haven't taken any courses, that's an awesome opportunity to go back for younger students and say, hey, these other students missed out on the benefit. This is something that's worthwhile for you to take advantage of and try some things out. And there's great opportunities for a lot of those upper levels, certainly with capstone courses for kids to really put their stamp on the education that they're taking at Grand Rapids High School and have benefit beyond. So a few other things just to keep in mind. There are things that we want to look overall at the registration process. Graduation requirements are certainly the number one, making sure that we're on track with graduation, but how are we going to prepare our student for beyond high school? Those are big things that we're pushing and making sure that students have opportunity in what that looks like. We talked about the course requests and what that actually means. It doesn't necessarily mean student schedule. That's a process, this is part of the process, and the student schedule then comes out, and then we can look at that a little bit separately. There are specific clubs, activities that do require specific courses. If you want to be an FFA member, Future Farmers of America, there are specific courses that you need to take to meet requirement to join that club and to be in competition for FFA. Schedule change guidelines, what we do have in terms of windows is typically the schedule is released before first semester in late August, mid-August, and then again early January. We do have windows open for if there are conflicts or if there are things within your schedule that we were really hoping to adjust. That's not teacher requests, that's not, I would like a study hall 7th hour, but if we're in a grade level course that is maybe not challenging enough, moving up to an advanced course. If we're in an advanced course that is maybe not, maybe is too much with the other courses that we're taking, there's opportunities to move within that. So we do have that linked on our website when those specific dates are for course request changes. The other thing that we pay attention to are the year-long courses, Spanish, Adobe Photoshop, band, choir. When students request those courses and then when they're placed on their schedule, those are year-long commitments rather than just semester-long commitments. So there are certain courses that are year-long commitments that when you sign up for band, when you sign up for choir, because that is reliant on membership and students who have roles within the band in the choir, those are year-long commitments that we want to make sure that we pay attention to. The difference between the course guide and the course catalogs. The things that I want to point out, I'll pull these up separately. There are plenty of tools at your disposal to find out what information is going to be most helpful for you to make the right selections within course requirements and the course registration process. We've shown kids this. It is up on the website. I'll point these things out as well. Teachers are great resources, older brothers and sisters, families, certainly great conversations on course requests and maybe pathways within high school. for any student. So again, I'll highlight some of these things so you have access to those and know where to scoop that information. This is the guide that students receive just to plan out their registration process. So again, it does look like, oh, this is first semester requests, this is second semester requests, but really we're requesting a package of classes. So for a 10th grader, they're gonna request 14 courses because there's 7 periods per day per semester. That will require us to require 14, that can include study halls. But this is one of the guides that we can certainly go through and have conversations about. I'll pull up the course catalog a little bit later and walk you through a couple of those things that I would identify within that. But also these things are in Schoology in the registration folder for every student, on the registration tab on our high school page, just so you have this information and what that looks like. Overall registration process, I probably should have brought this up earlier, but we are in the middle of registration. Many students have registered. That does not mean that you can't change things. Certainly, when students are in classrooms with us, we have them finalize it. That does not mean it's locked and loaded. In terms of what we're doing with registration, next Wednesday will be the official close, so families still have opportunity to go in, change things, have conversations about, oh, I saw that you requested this. I see that this is on your schedule. Did you talk to your teacher about this course? We still have plenty of time to make changes and look at adjustments for next year. So before next Wednesday, certainly plenty of time to do that, and this is part of that process. So I think the other thing that I'll pull up, I'm going to start with what the registration window, what the registration application looks like. This is campus. This is a student portion of campus. So again, this student is a current 10th grader going into 11th grade. This is how we have the registration process laid out. So a student, when they would go in, we're just looking at the credit that they're going to put in per course. So in terms of English, English is the first opportunity. They have choice between IB SITS English and English 11. And then this is the process that we walk them through and how they request their courses. So when you go in with your student and they can pull up campus, this is the academic plan. This is what we would be looking for in terms of what courses that they've requested for this current year versus the ones that are grayed out, those are previous years. So this is a great tool to look at with your student and certainly get back to and have conversations about to make sure that you guys are all on the same page with opportunities for next year, not necessarily for all opportunities. So again, looking at, this is the course catalog. This is all of the courses offered at Grand Rapids High School. Lots and lots of information. This is not just in regards to a specific grade. This is all of the courses, all of the benefit, all of the pathways, every information tidbit that we have within our course guide is up on this course catalog for everybody to see. So again, this is accessible through the website. You can pull it up on your phone. It's phone friendly, iPad friendly. It is a good tool. This is probably the tool I would use if your student is not going to be a senior, but going to be 9, 10, or 11. This is the tool I would use to plan out the next couple of years versus just the current next year. So again, you can look based on grade level, either on the catalog homepage or on the grade level page. You can look per grade. Say we're going to look at a 10th grader, and it's just going to walk you through each section in each category of which grade you're going to look at. The benefit then for this versus the catalog is you can look up the course description. It's right there. You can compare both of those courses side by side. So again, a great resource on that. The thing that I want to point out are the sequences. So for all of the subjects, I shouldn't say all, for many of the subjects, we do have a course sequence of if you take this in 9th grade, this is likely what it means for you in 10th. There can be movement beyond those sequences, so if a student wants to move to an advanced track, that is an opportunity to do that. It's a good conversation to have with your teacher and have with your family about the balance of doing that, but there is opportunities to move tracks. Again, moving forward with the cores, then once we get beyond the cores, the things that we point out again are the graduation requirements. And then looking at specifically some additional features that stick out. Every orange text that's listed is an art credit, so students looking for art credit, it's easy for them to see. There are characters that indicate if this course is a required course for another course or a prerequisite for a previous course. So it's important information just to track those things that you can see kind of quickly with your eye. Under each of these courses, we do have the career pathway offering. So for many of our students, when we're looking at, I'm going to pull up a specific course and see if it's a good example for us. Maybe with our design and print 1 and 2, I think this is a good example to share because it has many of the features that we're looking for. The text is orange, that identifies that it's an art credit. Also the pathways, identified below computer science and manufacturing, looking at those pathways as well. This is a double pathway, so double benefit. Also the asterisk behind design and print 2, and if you look under the course description, it says the requirement is design and print 1. That makes sense. Many of them are like that, not all of them are. So many of ours are design and print 1, design and print 2, game design 1, game design 2, but not all of them are in that same sequence. But there are additional requirements that we need to pay attention to. So again, courses that do have asterisks and the chevron are things that we want to pay attention to for students and kind of indicating to them, hey, these are classes if you want to target an upper level course, this is another way to do so. Another thing that's probably too small to point out, but I do want to point out sequencing. For example, auto mechanics, if a student's interested in auto mechanics, if they want to get to that furthest level, looking at capstone courses, advanced auto mechanics does require 2 courses to take prior to that. So we're trying to lay out, if you want to get to this level, you got to make sure that you take these classes prior to, so you have information and you have those courses top of mind that you can request 10th grade, 11th grade, and then be on track to take advanced auto as a senior. So again, just paying attention to those sequences as well. The other things that I'll point out on the sidebar, we do have all the core courses. You can look specifically by elective, but also the career pathways. And I think the career pathways, when we're looking at career pathways, every pathway is similar in the steps that we've illustrated based on that first image that we shared, the Explore, Experience, Excel, step 1, step 2, step 3. Some of them have different series that you can take within. But things to look at, as many of them are similar to this. This is the healthcare pathway. Looking at what students can take in 9th and 10th grade would be step 1. And then moving to step 2, looking at the requirements that they would take as juniors and seniors before and with a capstone course that they could take as seniors. So they don't necessarily have to complete step 2 before they go to step 3, but that is part of the process. Step 3 would be a capstone course. That would be a good opportunity for them. In this instance, the Certified Nursing Assistant course, our SITS Health Terminology course, a specific medical internship that students can attain, again, very similar to many of our pathways. So there are ways both to, again, like as you can see, gain skill in these courses and have that preparedness beyond, as well as certainly getting that accolade for the recognition for our awards night and graduation. So again, pathways are things that I would encourage you all to look at and make sure that you are familiar with, and certainly if students have no idea what they want to do, taking multiple pathway courses, at least in that explore stage, is certainly helpful. And if you have an older student who still does not know what they want to do, again, taking more exploratory classes and having some interest is better than not having any. A couple other pathways, one more pathway I'm going to point out. This is a conversation that if you have specific questions about, make sure that you ask. But we do have very close to a complete liberal education pathway within Grand Rapids High School. So when students talk about getting their general credit, Grand Rapids High School partners with University of Minnesota Duluth, and we are near 52 credit that students can earn in Grand Rapids High School. In regards to maybe putting that into perspective, 60 credit, 50 to 60 credit is 2 years of college, and that's all UMD credit. In tuition savings alone, that's $25,000 by just taking Grand Rapids High School courses. Many of our students don't take all of them, and our liberal ed pathway does not require you to take all of them. We have laid out what the categories are, and this is from UMD, but the categories that they would require for their liberal ed requirements, and there are only 2 of the 13 that you cannot take, that we cannot satisfy with Grand Rapids High School courses. The rest you can 100% take. Those are 95% transferable to other colleges and institutions. Every college does have the right to say, hey, you're on track with the credits that we need, not necessarily the amount, but the specific credits. But this is specific to UMD, and because it's a University of Minnesota system, it's very likely that it's going to satisfy similar credit. They're all core credits, some elective credit that's going to satisfy a lot of those requirements that you're going to have when you go to other institutions than UMD. A couple other things that I'll point out. The International Baccalaureate Program, fantastic program. This is our most rigorous that we can offer at Grand Rapids High School. There is a program, there is a diploma. Some students maybe have talked about taking the diploma. The diploma is the most prestigious thing that Grand Rapids students can do within our programming. many students take some IB classes. The benefit of taking an IB class is the preparedness beyond high school. Many of the benefits that our IB courses have is also in pairing with the college and the schools, which is the UMD credit. So when a junior takes an IB and SITS class, which many of ours are at the upper level, once you get to 11th grade, there's not advanced math, not advanced science, not advanced social, not advanced English. It just becomes the next tier's IB or SITS or both. And again, many of them are. But you get the benefit of the college credit. You also get the benefit of the rigor of that course, and students come back saying that they're very prepared by taking those IB courses, more so than their peers. But also because we know that IB program is the most rigorous that we can offer, we can weight that grading, so students who receive an A in a grade level course can get a 4.0. IB students receiving the same letter grade can get a 4.25 on their GPA, and many of our students taking IB courses can exceed that 4.0 GPA overall in high school. So again, many of our top students do receive over a 4.0 GPA because of this program. There are different tiers. Again, not every student does the diploma. Few do the diploma, but certainly a lot take credit that's very close to the diploma. We do have, again, this is a good conversation to have with your counselor, Mrs. Asplund, who is out there as well, is our IB rep, and can help point you out in any direction. So if you have specific questions on this, please ask, but I do want to point out that we do have information for students who are asking, what courses do I need to take? This is some steps and process of the courses that you can take to be on track with the IB diploma. In terms of the tiers, there are 3 different tiers of acknowledgement because we wanted to make sure that we don't just acknowledge students who do the complete diploma, but different tiers along the way. So I do want to point that out as well. And again, this doesn't fit for every student, but if you're looking for this information, it's very helpful information. And a lot of our students, when we were talking about them today, got more information about this because we were explaining it a little bit more in depth rather than just having it out there. The last thing that I will point out, NCAA, some students who are athletes and are looking for maybe going on to a Division III, Division II, Division I, maybe Division II and Division I specifically. We list all of our NCAA approved courses on our website, so you can track that information and you can be on track with those. And certainly all the links that take you directly to NCAA. And again, as I promised, the last thing that I will pull up are the contacts of all of our people who might be the points of contact for, maybe it's Pathway, certainly our counselors, our administration, and any questions that you might have. Talking to your teachers is fantastic. But if you want specific questions and maybe you're thinking about taking a class where you've never had that career pathway teacher, we're trying to include all of their information so you can get a hold of them. So again, counselors, department heads, this is helpful if you're looking at upper level classes, upper level courses, but also looking into the career pathways, and the banners below indicate which pathway they are a part of. So many of these pathway teachers are here today. They'll be in the lobby afterwards. I think anytime you have a question, make sure that you connect with one of us. Again, the 4 counselors, Mr. Forboard, the pathway teachers, we're here to answer those questions, but certainly provide you all the opportunity to find the information and have those conversations at home. So again, this has been a huge process for us, and having conversations with kids has been beneficial, and hopefully it's the same for your students. But if you have questions, please reach out. The process is still open. We have that window open for registration until next Wednesday. So there is still plenty of time. We have, I think, some seniors and juniors who have not yet put their request in, but they will do that this week, and then we will catch all the students who missed registration or were sick or absent along the way. So again, a lot of things that I've said in a short period of time, but I wanted to be conscious of your time specifically. So I think we are planning 8:15. The lobby will probably shut down for us. So if you have questions, please ask. We'd love to answer your questions, and I do really appreciate all of you coming tonight. So thank you very much, and please ask questions out in the lobby.